Did you know that Alcatraz, one of the most notorious prisons in history, was never officially recorded as having a successful escape? This infamous island, located in the chilly waters of San Francisco Bay, was once a beacon of dread for the most hardened criminals. Alcatraz, often referred to as the Rock, was a place where the United States incarcerated its most dangerous and persistent lawbreakers. From the early 1930s to the mid-60s, Alcatraz stood as a formidable fortress of law enforcement. The prison's reputation was so severe that it was often used to scare misbehaving children with the warning, "Be good, or you'll end up in Alcatraz." Alcatraz was not just a prison, it was a statement. A statement that said, no matter how cunning, notorious, or ruthless you might be, there was a place that you could not escape from. The prison's security measures were so stringent and its location so isolated that it was widely believed to be inescapable. Despite numerous attempts, no prisoner was ever officially recorded as having successfully escaped from Alcatraz. But the legacy of Alcatraz is not merely its fortified walls or its icy surrounding waters. The legacy of Alcatraz is found in the stories of its inmates. The prison housed a roster of infamous criminals, each with their own tales of crime and punishment. From bank robbers and murderers to mob bosses and gang leaders, Alcatraz was home to some of the most notorious names in criminal history. Their stories are a chilling reminder of the dark underbelly of society and the lengths that the legal system went to in order to keep them contained. Some of these names have become legendary, their criminal exploits immortalized in popular culture. Their tales of audacious crimes and daring escape attempts have fascinated us for decades, often blurring the lines between fact and fiction. Imprisoned within its walls were some of the most notorious criminals of their time. Let's dive into the stories of these infamous inmates. Starting our countdown at number 10, we have Alvin "Creepy" Karpis. A notorious gangster of the 1930s, Karpis was the brains behind the Karpis Barker gang. His criminal career spanned bank robberies, kidnappings, and even murder. But Karpis's reign of terror came to an end when he was captured and sent to Alcatraz in 1936. Known as the Rock, Alcatraz was no ordinary prison. It was designed to house the worst of the worst, and Karpis, with his ruthless reputation, fit right in. During his 26 years at Alcatraz, Karpis was a model prisoner, adhering to the rules and even learning to play the guitar. After his release in 1962, Karpis lived a quiet life in Spain, a far cry from his criminal past. Karpis, a criminal mastermind who met his match in Alcatraz. At number 9, we take a look at Robert Stroud, also known as the Birdman of Alcatraz. Stroud's story is one that captivates not for his criminal exploits, but for his unexpected passion and dedication to the study of birds. Stroud's life took a turn when he discovered an injured sparrow in the prison yard. From that point, he transformed his cell into a makeshift aviary, raising and studying over 300 birds during his time in prison. Stroud's dedication to the winged creatures was so profound that he authored 2 books on bird diseases, despite lacking formal education. His works are considered significant contributions to the field of ornithology, even today. Stroud's story reminds us that the human spirit can rise above the most hardened circumstances, finding solace in the most unexpected places. A man of many layers, Stroud was more than just a prisoner. He was a self-taught ornithologist, a writer, and most notably, the Birdman of Alcatraz. Stroud, a man who found solace among birds within the prison walls. We continue our countdown with prisoners 8 to 5. First up, at number 8, we have George "Machine Gun" Kelly. With a name as intimidating as his, it's no surprise that Kelly was a notorious bootlegger and kidnapper during the Prohibition era. His criminal career came to a screeching halt when he was sent to Alcatraz in 1934, serving 17 years before being transferred to Leavenworth. After prison, Kelly's life was a far cry from his lawless past, as he lived out his remaining days under the radar. Next, at number 7, we encounter James "Whitey" Bulger. A feared figure in the Boston underworld, Bulger was involved in everything from racketeering to murder. His time at Alcatraz, spanning from 1959 to 1962, was marked by a disciplined regime and a surprising lack of infractions. Post-Alcatraz, Bulger continued his life of crime, evading capture for years before finally being apprehended in 2011. Moving on to number 6, we meet Arthur "Doc" Barker, part of the infamous Barker Karpis gang. Barker was a hardened criminal, involved in a variety of crimes including kidnapping and bank robbery. His stay at Alcatraz, beginning in 1935, ended tragically when he was shot attempting an escape in 1939. For Barker, Alcatraz was his final stop. Finally, at number 5, we have the legendary Al Capone. Known as Scarface, Capone was a notorious mobster and boss of the Chicago outfit. His reign of crime, however, came to an end when he was sentenced to Alcatraz in 1934. There, the once untouchable Capone found himself at the mercy of the strict regimen. Following his release, Capone led a quiet life until his demise in 1947. These men, each notorious in their own right, found themselves confined within Alcatraz's walls. Moving closer to the top of our list, we have prisoners 4 to 2. Let's begin with Frank Morris. Known for his high IQ and criminal cunning, Morris was no stranger to the prison system. He had been in and out of correctional facilities since his early teens. But Alcatraz was different. It was here that he would make his mark on history. During his time at Alcatraz, Morris masterminded what is arguably the most famous prison escape in history. However, life after Alcatraz remains a mystery. Some believe he succeeded and lived to a ripe old age in anonymity, while others argue he perished in the cold waters of the San Francisco Bay. Our next infamous prisoner is John Anglin. Like Morris, Anglin was no novice to crime. He and his brother Clarence were seasoned bank robbers before their incarceration at Alcatraz. John was part of the illustrious 1962 escape plan, using his experience and cunning to aid in their audacious bid for freedom. His life after Alcatraz, like Morris's, remains shrouded in mystery and speculation. Lastly, we have Clarence Anglin, the third member of the infamous trio. Clarence, like his brother John, was a seasoned criminal with a knack for outwitting the law. Alcatraz, however, was meant to be the end of the line for him, but with his brother and Morris, he orchestrated one of the most audacious escapes in prison history. Whether he managed to live a life of freedom after Alcatraz or met a watery grave remains a tantalizing mystery. These men, Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers, were more than just prisoners. They were the embodiment of the rebellious spirit, the crafty mind, and the audacious courage. They weren't content with their lot and dared to challenge the unchallengeable. They planned and executed an escape so daring and ingenious that it continues to captivate and intrigue us to this day. These men made history with their daring and ingeniously planned escape. And finally, at number 1, we have none other than Al Capone. Capone, the infamous mob boss from the Prohibition era, was renowned for his criminal empire in Chicago. He held a reputation as a ruthless yet charismatic leader of organized crime, and his reign was one of the most notorious in American history. In 1931, Capone's criminal career came to an abrupt halt when he was convicted for tax evasion. He was sent to Alcatraz in 1934, where he spent 4.5 years. Known as prisoner number 85, Capone was no longer the untouchable mob kingpin. He was just another inmate on the rock, stripped of his power and influence. After his release in 1939, Capone's health rapidly declined, largely due to untreated syphilis. He spent the remainder of his life away from the public eye, a stark contrast to his previous high-profile lifestyle. Capone, the man who ruled Chicago with an iron fist, met his downfall in Alcatraz. From notorious mobsters to ingenious escape artists, Alcatraz has seen it all. We've journeyed through the stories of 10 of its most infamous inmates, each with their own unique tale to tell. From Alvin "Creepy" Karpis, the longest-serving prisoner, to the notorious Al Capone, whose legendary status reached even the isolated cells of Alcatraz. We've also met Robert Stroud, renowned as the Birdman of Alcatraz, and a handful of others whose stories are woven into the fabric of this historical institution. The significance of Alcatraz extends beyond its prisoners. It stands as a symbol of America's justice system and a testament to the lengths society will go to isolate those it deems too dangerous. These stories of resilience, rebellion, and regret are an integral part of our shared history. If you found this journey into the past fascinating, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe for more intriguing content. Until next time, keep exploring history with us.